Cette conférence va maintenant être enregistrée.
Okay, so maybe we should start at least with the introduction so that more people can come. So good morning again, everyone. So I'm Valérie Moreau, Head of International Networks at Laval Mayenne Technopole. We are EU BIC located at Laval in the west part of France. And I'm really delighted today to welcome you to this webinar dedicated to the uses and future trends of immersive technologies for immersive learning and training. So this webinar is organized in the framework of the AT Virtual European project, which is funded in the Interreg Atlantic Area program. So before we start, as we always do for webinars, I will just say a few words about the process today. So the webinar is being recorded and a replay will be available afterwards on the AT Virtual website. So if you do not wish to appear on the video, please turn off your camera. And also, thank you to mute your mic during the presentations to avoid any unwanted noise. And feel free to ask all your questions in the chat, and we will answer to the question at the end of the presentation. So now I will leave the floor to Ana Mendes from CEI Asturias. She is the lead partner of the AT Virtual project, and she will say a few words about the project. So Ana, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Valérie, and good morning, everyone. As Valérie has told, my name is Ana Mendes, AT Virtual Coordinator at CEI Asturias, which is the lead partner of this project. And before starting, I would like to thank all of you for your attendance and interest on this webinar, and of course, to Laval Mayenne Technopole, since this is the organizer of this event. I hope you find interesting and you can enjoy. Firstly, I would like to let you know that at a Virtual, what we want to achieve with this project is to propose open innovation methodologies to respond efficiently and effectively to security and safety in maritime conditions in Atlantic area. The project has started on January 2018 and is supposed will be ended at the end of this year, on December 2022. Was funded under Interreg 5B Atlantic area through a European program which promotes transnational cooperation in the Atlantic regions from Europe. In our case, we have regions from southern and eastern from Ireland, Pays de la Loire in France, Lisbon and Centro from Portugal, and obviously Basque Country and Principality of Asturias in the north of Spain. Coming back to the mission of the project, I would like to let you know that which is taking into account that the mission of the project is to ensure and improve safety and security maritime conditions. The main goal of the project is to accelerate the digitalization of the maritime safety training centers. Those organizations are focused on training staff teams who perform maritime emergency operations in highly risky conditions, such as firefighting procedures or rescue operations. So how are we going to do this? Through the introduction of the new emerging Industry 4.0 technologies in simulation-based training systems from these organizations. To achieve this goal, we are working with startups in an open innovation methodology with these startups from the Atlantic area, which act as digital enablers in the project. When I'm referring to emerging Industry 4.0 technologies, I'm talking about Internet of Things, big data, data analytics, augmented reality, and virtual reality. To make this possible, we count with three main actors. The first one are the maritime safety training centers. They are the key actors in the project since they act as the beta testers of the technology. They are working closely with startups in order to define and implement the best technological solutions to solve their needs. We are working with maritime safety training centers from Cork in Ireland. In that case, it's the Munster Technology University. With centers in Ireland, in that case, Escola Superior Náutica Infante Don Enrique from Lisboa in Portugal, and with the Jovellanos Center belonging to the Sociedad de Salvamento y Seguridad Marítima in Asturias in Spain. Second actor are business and innovation centers, since they are working with innovative, young innovative and technology-based startups. So they involve these startups and encourage them in order to provide solutions to these technological challenges in the context of the project. These business and innovation centers are Cork Vic in Ireland, Laval Mayan Technopole in France, Instituto Pedro Nunes in Portugal, and CEI Asturias in Spain. And of course, we need a research and innovation center. In that case, we have the Technalia Foundation to develop and adapt the innovative methodologies of the project, supporting also the centers in the analysis, establishment of the solutions, and obviously implementation in those centers. Taking this into account, the project is developed in three phases. The first one is the diagnosis, in which we want to achieve the analysis of the maturity level of digitalization of the participating centers. And in that case, the most relevant deliverable of the project has been the self-diagnosis online tool to analyze the current and potential of the degree of digitalization in the set of the process in the different areas of those centers. According to the results of the analysis down in this diagnosis, and also with meetings and interviews conducted by Technalia Foundation, there were identified some technological needs and some technological opportunities. And according to that, there were defined the challenges which were included in the different calls. The second phase is the selection. This is the key phase to establish the pairings between maritime safety training centers and startups, because we are joining the challenges detected with the technological solutions proposed by the startups. Based on that, the most relevant element here has been an online tool which has been used, which is supporting the whole process, not only for the organization of the calls, but also to recept, analyze, and pre-select the proposals that we have received in each call. Finally, once we have selected the final solution, is also included in those platforms. The third step is the implementation, focus on the prototype and implementation of the selected solution. Once teams and the teams between Maritime Safety Training Center and the startup has been established. Here we provide an open innovation methodology in order to speed up the process, and also we count with experts, training session with experts in digital technologies and in other areas to increase knowledge and facilitate the implementation process. In a practical way, I would like to let you know that nowadays we are in an assessment stage of the proposals. We have had the third call which was closed on 13 April. The call was approached or focused on vision technologies with 5 challenges proposed by the Maritime Safety Training Centers, 16 solutions by the startups, and now we are in the process of assessment of these proposals. I would like to let you know that the preselected companies will join us in a final event, in a final selection event here in Spain, in Asturias exactly, and the event will be developed on 30th of June. So please note on your agendas, book on your agendas this date, because we are here now, SMEs, big corporates, organizations working around training activities, and virtual reality and vision technologies can be really useful for you. So please take this date in your memory, in your mind, and I can let you know that if you join to this event, you will benefit from a workshop with experts specialized in the topic. There will be pitching sessions from those companies preselected, working around these relevant technologies from the Industry 4.0, B2B meetings, and obviously you will know the final selected company working with the Maritime Safety Training Center. From that time, the implementation of the solutions will begin. This event will be organized for the Maritime Safety Training Center, Center Jovellanos, here in Spain, and they are really good working on these implementation activities around vision technologies. So I would like to strongly recommend to join us on this event. Probably you are wondering, where can I find this information? Here you can see our web page, where you can see you will find all this information. The address is www.at-virtual.eu. So I think this is all the information I would like to share with you. Now I would give again the role of moderator to Valerie. And of course, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed during all the event. And now is the turn of Valerie and Clarté. We have really good experts on virtual technologies and immersive technologies. So thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Anna. So now I have the pleasure indeed to welcome Alexandre Boucher, CEO of Clarté, and Mathieu Chacun, who is a VR immersive learning business developer at Clarté. So Mathieu and Alexandre are going to tell us about the use of immersive technologies in training. So Clarté is a consulting and innovation center for virtual reality and augmented reality and also emerging technologies. And they are located in Laval in the heart of the Laval Virtual and Augmented Reality Pole of Excellence. And this pole gathers companies, laboratories, higher education schools, and also events which are dedicated to immersive technologies. So Mathieu, I'm going to give the floor to you now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes, Mathieu, your camera is shut down. Maybe you can.
Oh, sorry.
Put it on.
Let me come back. Is it okay now?
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mathieu Chacun, and I am a VR immersive learning business developer. And I'm here today with Alexandre Boucher, who is Clarté CEO. So what I'm going to talk about today is actual uses and expected trends of immersive technologies for learning and training. So first, I will present you who we are at Clarté. Then I will give you some definitions on the history of XR. And next, I will illustrate my presentation with some nice use cases. And finally, I will share with you the trends for the future of XR on the trading area. Clarté is a technical center specialized in immersive technologies and spatial computing. We participate in the economic development of business with for main vectors, innovations and consultancy. We are based in Laval, in France, with a team of 20 people, and we are building VR and augmented reality technologies and applications since 1996. Our offer are from awareness to tailor-made development of innovative solutions. So we have discovery and experimentation area. Basically, it is based on immersion seminars to improve knowledge about XR technologies and to test last devices and solutions. We have also advice and support area. So basically, it is based on needs analysis and business opportunities decision, writing the specification, doing some sourcings or offer analysis and linking with providers. And our main activity is project management assistance. We have also some studies, so which contains a target technology watch, state-of-the-art analysis, feasibility study, and foresight and analysis of the XR field trends. One branch is based on the R&D, so R&D project. We also develop a full application based on prototype or proof of concept. We are doing some devices benchmarking and technology transfer, which means that when we finish to develop a POC, we provide to our client all needed source code or assets. And we have a last offer, which is based on training. So basically, we train people to learn how to create themselves VR application or augmented reality application. And soon we will have also artificial intelligence no-code training. So here is Clarté presentation. So now, so I think it may be useful to recall or understand XR technologies and look back on its history. So this slide illustrates with a good synthetic overview the virtual to real life continuum. So basically, here we can see that there is the real environment, everything is real. Augmented reality consists on adding some 3D elements on top of it. We have also the augmented virtuality, which is basically introduce some real part inside a virtual environment. And finally, we have the virtual reality where everything is virtual. So XR is the full combination of all these topics. So augmented reality, augmented virtuality, and virtual reality. So let me go deeper inside what is augmented reality and virtual reality. So if we can give a definition of augmented reality, basically it is the idea to add some digital data to the real world, and so to enhance the real world. We have some example here related to marketing or sales or review or maintenance. So basically here we can see a fireplace inside the forest. We can see some spray gun, and we can see some furniture inside your house from IKEA, for instance. It can be used also to review, here we have a car configurator, or it can be very useful if you want to present here your future project on the desk of your investors. About augmented reality technologies, we can consider several devices. So you can use HMD glasses here. So basically, data is displayed on transparent glasses, but environment is not recognized. I mean, it is like a small screen on your glass corner. We have some augmented reality with a tablet. So basically, we are using the back camera to transmit the real world in background on your screen, and we can display on top of it some 3D assets. We have also the Microsoft HoloLens, which is a high-end device that can scan and recognize the real world and display on top of it some 3D elements. And the last technology is based on projection, but it is not easy to set up because sometimes it is complex to align the real world with the virtual world because it depends on your projector position. About the virtual reality definition, so here we can consider that we are combining immersion and interaction. And with the modern virtual reality, we have ability to create a presence feeling, which basically actually, sorry, the presence was a long, sorry. It gives you a presence feeling, meaning that you forget the real world and you stay in your virtual world. So I can give you a brief history of the virtual reality. So it started from the 3D visualization. So in 1850, it was the first 3D pictures. So we can see that to see 3D, it's necessary to have two pictures, 2 point of views. In 1930, we had the first consumer device, which was called the Viewmaster. So basically, with a trigger button, you were able to see some nice 3D pictures. In 1950, it was the first consumer computer graphic pictures, and then we continue to the 360 visualization. So before talking about virtual reality, I think it's important to talk about 360 visualization because in the past we had some street DOF consumer headsets. So it's important to remind what is street DOF. So it means 3 degrees of freedom. So basically the system analyzes the head orientation but not the position. So it means that the user can't move freely in position. So in 2014, we had the Google Cardboard. It was a cheaper solution with sometimes bad experience because if you put your smartphone inside this cardboard, sometimes the alignment is not correct, so we have a bad experience. Then in 2015, we had the Samsung Gear VR, so which solves the headset smartphone alignment issue, but it was only for some specific Samsung devices. And then in 2018, we had the Oculus Go, which was all-in-one device. The smartphone was not needed, and it was a good product to start to discover the 360 VR. Then we had the true VR experience with the 6DoF consumer headsets. So 6DoF, with 6DoF, 6 degrees of freedom, the system analyzes head and hand orientation and position. So that means that the user can move, can walk, can bend, can stoop, manipulate, and make a gesture more or less complex. So in 2016, 2017, we had a PC VR system. So it was quite expensive with HTC Vive or Oculus Rift. It was complex because it was necessary to set up some cameras and to set up your PC. And you need a VR-ready PC with a high-end graphic card. In 2021, we had the standalone VR headset, mainly famous with Meta Quest 2. So it is less expensive and no PC is needed, but it is similar to compare video game in smartphone versus video game on PlayStation. We have a lower quality rendering. So when we talk about VR, we have to define how to interact with the system. So currently we have several ways to interact with it. The more natural one is interact with hands, sorry. So we can see on this small video that the user is not using any controllers or tracking system. Only his hands are tracked by the headset itself, and we see that it is very accurate. So here is the real world, and here is what you can see inside his neck. Another interaction way is the controller. So it's less natural, but it allows you to have some haptic feedback by using some vibrations, for instance. We have also trackers. So trackers are used when you want to use a real object from the real life. For instance, if you want to track a tool, a real tool, you can put this tracker on it, and then this real tool will be detected on the virtual world. We have also some expensive systems like haptics or force feedback, because basically when you practice on VR, you are doing stuff with your hands, but in the air. And when you use this system, you can feel the resistance. You can have the force feedback when you touch something or when you try to push something. And then and here we have also working platforms. So one difficulty in a virtual world is that sometimes you are on the real world on a specific area, maybe 2 by 2 meters, and you want to navigate inside a bigger area. So it is necessary to find a way to navigate, to work. So the main way to do it is to use your controllers and to teleport inside the virtual world. But it exists other systems like this one where you can naturally work on the platform. The virtual reality became famous thanks to video games. So here are the two main blockbusters contents. So the first one is Beat Saber. So we can see some stuff about that on internet. The main idea is to slice some cubes that are coming with a rhythm aligned with the music you are listening. And the second one is Half-Life Alyx, which is a high-level graphism video game. So now let me come to our main topic, the VR used in training. So in CAFE, we define that the principal professional use case of VR nowadays are first the learning. So it is used to train people, to aware people about the risk prevention. We have also virtual office. So basically, instead of using Teams or GoToMeeting, we tried here in Laval virtual offices. So which means that you can have a very good presence feeling to discuss with your colleagues. We have also user experience design. So basically, you can review your product inside the VR. The virtual reality, but mainly the 3D, is used to help to understand the complex mechanism. So it is very helpful to see some data visualization or to inspect a virtual twin. 3D is also used for brand experience. So we have a lot of public application on this field. As I already said, it is used for the sales experience, like virtual tours or furniture at home. And finally, we have augmented operation to help people during manufacturing or maintenance. So if we look all these use cases, we can mostly consider that everything related to learning is related to VR, and when we consider maintenance on augmented operation, it is more related to augmented reality. So now let me present you virtual reality benefits and opportunities. A Chinese proverb is saying that what I hear, I forget, what I read, I remember, what I do, I understand. And if we look at this learning pyramid, which was provided by national training laboratories, it is clear to see that 80% of retention rates is occurring when you practice and when you do actions. So the retention rate is mainly done by practice, so that point is very clear, but theory is a key factor in order not to take bad automatism in practice. So by considering these two points, one conclusion could be to set up a training course that combines the traditional teaching tools already in place with practical modules in real life. But another way to do it is to set up a virtual training that allows you to make mistakes, but warns you about it or shows you the risky consequences. So if we sum up what we can do with XR training, so we can categorize it in several areas. So the first one is the soft skills. So you can learn to speak in front of an audience or to sell the stuff. It is used about high risk and safety for fire simulation, hazard spotting, for instance. It is used also for maintenance and procedures, and it can be used for complex gestures like painting or welding or something like that. So now, if we present the XR benefits, so there are a lot. So first, the training is shorter and less expensive and riskless because it removes a lot of constraints that we can find on the real-world training. Because we don't need access to private places, for instance. We are reducing the consumable costs. The implementation time is better, and we don't need any real equipment to train people, and we reduce the risk for the learner. Also, the training is more attractive because we are using innovative technology, and the attractiveness of training is then better. The training is more engaging because the learner is truly active and autonomous in his experience. The training is more flexible because we used to record the training session and then we replay the session with the trainer, so we can analyze it and explain to the trainee, what was the mistake. The training is more complete because you can practice dangerous or uncommon scenarios. Maybe if you consider a nuclear area, they learn a lot of scenarios that we hope will never happen. But in VR, you can imagine to simulate the worst case scenario. The training is more customizable, because the trainer can monitor each learner with an objective measure of their performance and progress. And there is a better learning retention rate because the learner is trying stuff and he can see impact of his mistakes. And also, it's important to note that the training is modular because once you have a VR device using this single system, you can train on various pedagogical scenarios. The main point with by using XR for training is that you can practice beyond reality. Let me explain you what I mean by this title. So it's important to consider 3D, not virtual reality or augmented reality that are just a way to use it. But if you consider the 3D, when you create a 3D, it can be non-existent object. I mean, for instance, a Library machine concept, or not easy to access object or environment. For instance, if it is uncommon or under development, we can already review it by a 3D representation. I already said that here in 3D you can experiment by seeing the consequences of our mistakes without a real risk for the materials or for the people. In 3D you can see things from another point of view that is impossible in the real world. For instance, in this picture you can see inside a working machine. You can visualize and understand complex concepts. Here, in this picture, we can see how we can see the flow. We can see some part of this clock. You can also use these devices to do some time travel or to change the scale. By changing the scale, I mean, if, for instance, you want to learn the galaxy, you can become a giant. Or if you want to understand how some cells inside your body are working, you can also change the scale. So this slide is to present some pedagogical benefits. Most of XR applications are done with 3 modes. The first one is the tutorial mode to learn how to use the application, how to use your controllers, for instance. The second one is to train people. So basically you have some guidance to understand what is the good procedure and how to do the good gesture. And then you have an assessment mode where people are assessed. Virtual reality is a greater educational distribution channels. It gives you more diversity in terms of distribution channels because you can use the audio, you can put in your virtual world some real-life posters, you can insert pictures, videos, or presentations that you have already on your real-world training. But you can also add some ghost guidance to know where to put hands to perform an interaction. You can give some explicit pictograms, or you can give some ghost guidance to know where to go in the virtual world. So it offers new way to implement the pedagogy. In virtual reality, in terms of pedagogy, it is very helpful because we can use some gesture analysis. Here is an example where basically we are training to paint some objects, and after the exercise, we are able to analyze the thickness of projected paint. So now I will stop to talk. Maybe I will present you some videos, some use cases that are already implemented. So this one is developed for the prevention of occupational risks. So I can show you the video. Okay, come on. So basically, we can see that here the training is identifying some risks. So basically, by using a laser beam, it can inspect the virtual world and point and click what is wrong. But you can also use some PPEs and do some procedures. Let's see here. So, I mean, it can train by inspecting, but it can also train by doing. This is what we can see in this short video. Okay. The trainer can configure the scenario in runtimes, and here we can have some realistic and 100% safe environment. And here we have some measurement about the score of the user. Another example here is about working at height. Sorry. So we can see that the trainer is monitoring the experience with the two screens. So he has one screen to have the trainee point of view, but he can also have a better view with an external point of view. This use case is well implemented because we have what we call tangible implementation, meaning that there are some real objects here. The platform is aligned with the virtual world, so the immersion is much better here because we have a real tangible structure. Okay, oops, sorry. This one is to show you that we can use virtual world to learn how to assemble some elements. So it is helpful to design and optimize the process. We can see also that the user is guided with highlights and arrows. The technical specs are displayed. You can see that they are floating in the air with a big size. So user is guided. He can rotate the object and combine elements. Next example is about healthcare PPT. So let me show you this video. So you can learn from your mistakes and reduce consumable costs. And we can see we have a presence filling with some object on face. You can see. Now I can show you some projects we did with Clarté here. So the first one is about industrial painting. So you can do a lot of things. You can discover your PPE and a tool, learn how to prepare your paint mixing, learn gesture step by step, and it was developed by creating a tangible modified VR controller. We can see it on the picture here. So basically, we can find all tuning buttons from the real life. So it is easier to understand how to tune your tool. So here we can see that the tuning is done step by step. And then you can choose the object you want to paint. And here you can see that we are adjusting on the real object, and there is impact on the virtual world. And after painting my object, I can analyze the results to see what we count on the real life, which basically it is the coverage and the thickness of my paint. Yeah. So at Clarté, we love to add tangible experience to our virtual training. This is another example. So basically, this one is not virtual reality, it is not augmented reality, but it is mixed reality. So the trainer can place anywhere he wants in the real world. He can place fire with several kinds of fire and several sizes. And we have a realistic simulation. I mean, we are using physics. The fire and smokes are depending on the real environment. And for the learner, again, it is easy to use because we are not using VR controller. We are using the real fire extinguisher. And there is no burn risk and no consumable again. So we have a standalone version of it, meaning that you have your PC VR on the backpack, and you use a virtual reality headset that we modify to see the real world. So we improved the field of view, and it is very easy to use for the trainer. The last project we did at Clarté is this one, which is edge cutting simulator. So, oops, sorry. That's the sound. Okay. So this solution is simple and intuitive for training again, because we are using only tracked real operating edge trimmer, meaning that you feel the weight of your real tool, you feel the vibrations. The trainer can inspect along the training and use several tools. So basically, we have a laser to point some element to the training. We have a show last gesture button, and we can change edge aspect, which is very useful and easy to understand. I mean that when you are trying to process on your edge, we can change aspect to have a simple heat map. So basically, when it is red, you have to cut it. When it is blue, you did the wrong job. So you can see here that it is very simple to use and to understand. Okay. Here I can show you an augmented reality application developed by Schneider Electric. So it is using a Microsoft HoloLens device. So you can use it hands-free, and the HoloLens scan and recognize the real world. So basically here it recognizes the electrical cabinet. This application is useful because basically it can be used without the real cabinet in front of you, meaning that you can discover the process and how it works. But you can also use it in augmented reality, meaning that you have the real cabinet in front of you. And in this case, you are guided to know how to use the real cabinet. So I will conclude with some future trends about virtual reality and training. So some new VR headset will come in the next few years, but by using a new technology. So it is based on a video see-through technique to have VR and augmented reality on the same device, but not on a transparent screen like HoloLens, but more by using an opaque display using a video camera to capture real world. So we have here this drawing explaining you how it works. You are watching a screen which is combining the digital world and the real world captured by video camera. So I would like to show you what you can do with this kind of device. So in this video, we can see that we are manipulating the galaxy, the solar system. So we are in virtual reality and staying on the same simulation. You can see that here I am on augmented reality, meaning that I can see my real world and continuing to manipulate my 3D object. So I think it will be the future for the training. So here are the main future headset. We have Meta or Facebook, which will present a new headset Cambria based on the same technique. We have a French headset, Lynx. We have Vario, which is very expensive, but a very good product. And of course, we will have Apple coming soon in 2023. So it is about the headset that in the future we will improve the link between the user and the simulation, because we will have more and more physiological data. By physiological data, I mean eye tracking, heart rate sensors, or face scan to recognize your expression. We will have more haptic feedbacks. So Meta is working on new gloves, but we have also some haptic tests to feel, for instance, fire bullets in a video game. And here we have a new example about how to navigate on VR, like Michael Jackson. So you can see that I'm staying on my real area to play, but I'm naturally working on my virtual world to move freely. Okay. We can also consider that VR devices will be used to implement immersive teleoperation. So we have already this in Japan. So you can remotely see from the robot point of view and manipulate with dexterity hardly accessible or dangerous or EV elements. So here you can see that this is real. So this robot is moving and is controlled by someone wearing a VR headset. You can see the point of view and people. It's amazing. Okay. So in the future, I think we will improve the social link by creating multi-user VR trainings. So it will be very helpful for people who aren't necessarily in the same real space. So it can be used for design or review. It will be used for meetings and also for training, of course, which will give you what we call the metaverse. So some people are talking a lot about metaverse, but this is a kind of metaverse in VR where you can meet people, so you can discuss and do natural stuff with them. And in the future, I'm pretty sure we will improve our avatar, which represents each people inside the virtual world. So we can see the progress from Meta. We had version 1, 2018, 19, and the today version. And this video is showing you what we can do in the future. So basically here we can see that the headset is tracking your eye position, your face movement, and it's just amazing to see what is the result. So here, so what you can see here is virtual. So I mean that this avatar is done in 3D in real time, and each input from the user on the helmet here is reproduced on the avatar. Yeah. It's just amazing. So this will be the future, I think. So now, in conclusion, I would like to say that XR can be used in all business areas. to improve training, but also in sales, marketing, engineering, and field operations. The technology is now sufficiently advanced and robust, and we can find plenty of use case examples and return on investment testimonials. And I would like to give you some tips to create an efficient user training application. So for me, it's important first to reproduce a real-world procedure because it's not a video game, it's a serious game. Then it's important to do it very simple and intuitive. I don't think that the trainee wants to learn how to use VR controllers. He wants to learn his professional work. It's important also when you create this kind of application to increase your pedagogy by showing things that you can't do on real life. And it's important also to simulate the consequences of mistakes. If your training application allows you only to do the good stuff, I think it's not sufficient. It's important to implement also the mistakes to let the trainee repeat the session and learn from his mistakes. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thanks for your attention, and now I will be happy to answer you any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mathieu. Thank you very much for this very comprehensive and detailed presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So we had one question in the chat, and Alexandre already answered to it. So I don't know if there are any other questions around. Or you don't hesitate to unmute your mic if you want to ask a question to Mathieu. That's the opportunity now to talk to Alexandre and Mathieu. No question, no more question here. Okay. Anyway, the presentation will be available on the AT virtual website because we will upload the video, the replay of the presentation, and then you will also have the details if you want to get into contact with Mathieu and Alexandre. Okay, so we will probably finish this webinar here. Thanks again to Mathieu for this presentation, very, very interesting and very comprehensive. And I just want to remind you all that we have the selection event, which is going to take place on the 30th of June in Spain. And all the information, as Anna said, are on the AT Virtual website. Don't hesitate to go onto the website and then to join us for this selection events. And once more, thank you all for your participation to this webinar this morning. We hope it was fruitful to you all and you were interested. And don't hesitate to send us any question you may have after this presentation, or you will have the links to contact Mathieu and Alexandre later. Okay, so bye everyone, and thanks again to Mathieu for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye then.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.